Morning, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Just checking out the what's going on in the aftermarket this morning, and sorry, pre-market. Not really a whole lot going on in the last 3 or 4 hours. We did have a news event at 8:30. Let's go ahead and review that quickly. So, core PCE price index month over month was released this morning with a forecast of 0.2%, and then we have an actual also 0.2%. So, no variance there. There's another medium impact news event coming at 10, which is the revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment. I believe the original value came out 2 weeks ago, and then they revised it 2 weeks later. And also the G20 meetings have been going on, will go on all day. They also going on yesterday as well. Not sure how much impact that's having on price, but it is listed here as a medium impact event. It's an all day event. Let's look and see, what are we looking forward to next week? Okay, so nothing on Monday. Typical Monday. Quite an eventful week. High impact news, multiple daily, every day next week. So keep that in mind as you head into the weekend and start planning out your week next week. But since we still have another day this week, let's just focus on where we are today. All right, looking at the hourly. So we can see there's not a lot on the dollar, not a lot of movement, just ranging pretty much ever since last Friday, just ranged all week. It may be ready for a breakout today, or it may wait until next week to do so. But so far this week, it's just been consolidating. A very similar pattern on all the indices. Slightly different retracement levels though. Yesterday we saw retracement down to 83.5% on the Dow. Uh, Nearly 100% retracement. I think we got within 1 point on the S&P of 100% retracement. And then on Nasdaq, we got an 88% retracement. And then we've been pushing out of it. However, none of them have taken out their highs. Honestly, I'm expecting a failure at some point, a race against these lows. M Moon JR, Queen Milad LB Amia. Morning, everyone. All right, Queen. Catch you next week. Hey, James. Me too. Yeah, hopefully something good comes out of today. Look at the weekly calendar. I'm sorry, the weekly candle. Nope, no TGIF in sight. 3 o'clock candle here completed the 20% retracement of the TGIF setup. So that was done during London this morning. Unless we put in a new low, sweeping the lows down here at 940, not even 884. And I'm not looking for a TGIF setup today. Getting close to the opening bell here. We got about 3.5 minutes. Hey, pray and trade. What's up? Only have an hour. All right, let's make the most of it. Right, here we go. Hey, Mohammed. Good evening. Hey, Vivian. Happy Friday. All right, DK. If we get a closure below this area here. The opposite situation going on. We have the Dow racing for highs. We have S&P and Nasdaq pushing lower. Just quickly show you where it is. You can see right here the Dow is pushing higher, much higher. It just opened up and took off to the upside. You see a push lower on S&P, a greater push lower on the Nasdaq, and also a push lower on the dollar as well. So we have an uncoupling of the indices here. So we'll wait for them to get back in line. Hey, Ray, good morning. You're all out. I didn't get in, but I was tempted to get in on this candle here, the 925 5-minute candle. Oh, I see. Sweeping the London high over here. Mm. Yeah, at the present moment, the only open session extremes we have is the London and Asia low. Both highs have been taken. Right, opening 10 minutes are in. We had a nice impulsive candle to the downside, about 75 handles or so, and then we already pulled back about 2/3 of the way. All right, once again, we're starting off today, just like yesterday, with Nasdaq showing off to be the weaker of the three. We'll see if that continues for the rest of the day, but at least as of right now, it's showing to be the weaker of the three. Oh, maybe we would have got a retracement back up to this level around 155 before attacking the midnight open, but looks like we're going to go for that now. Let's quickly jump over one more time. Take a look at the other indices, just see where we are. Right. We can see the Dow is still pushing higher, looking for that afternoon high from yesterday at 1 o'clock, up at 40,685. Equivalent, if Nasdaq did the same thing, we'd be looking at values around 19,400. But you can see we're pretty far away from that. We don't even have a bullish candle yet. S&P has flipped over to a bullish candle, so it's looking for daily highs. Still not close to pushing for yesterday's afternoon highs. So we'll see if we can get them in sync sometime soon. The dollar's still failing, still pushing lower, creating the low of the day. And we'll see if it continues lower, looking for yesterday's lows or not. No. But again, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see the dollar's just been consolidating all week. All right, so the Dow has taken that high from yesterday, so it has made a new high, taken out the previous day's high. Mm-hmm. Bryce, yeah, if you wanted to refine this, one thing you could do is you could recognize that we have a break in the range here, right? So we have this is six candles, or even if you include this one, seven, right here, right here. You got an up close candle. So what you can do is you can drop it down. Just take this last two down close candles. Give you a smaller range there of around just over 20 handles. Yep. Or if you still are aware and conscious of this upper area, the upper probably half of the full area, what you can do as well is when you leave this, when you have the full area, you can then refine it even as you're trailing up the range here. You can find the first swing low, which appears to be here, even though it's super small. Low on this one is 190 and a quarter. The low on this one is okay, the same. So you have equal lows. So if you consider this to be a swing low, you could even take this area. Or something in the middle, like this one. Which even when this one was traded below and closed below, you can see how it traded back into this smaller area multiple times, hitting consequent encroachment multiple times before dropping. So that's another technique. You can either use the last two here, or as it's working its way up, you can find a bearish breaker inside there too as well. So those are a few techniques you can use to reduce the area or further refine what a breaker block looks like for you. In fact, in hindsight now, this one looks like a most likely scenario. Yeah, you're right. The Dow is still pushing higher. And let me refine this so we can see what we got. All right, London low taken. Appreciate that update, Ray. And we're into the macro. Let's drop down time frames here. Yep, we got medium impact news coming in about 4 minutes. Is a revision of the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Beautiful retracement back into the change in state of delivery entry. Good call out, Ray. Hello, Jan. Good morning. Yep. You run and grab a cup of coffee quickly. I'll be back before the news is announced. Here's the news. .30 push down immediately. Let's see how high it pushes. Yep, good job, Ray. You definitely called that one out. The CISD entry, especially if you would have taken the retracement here, then yeah, it easily gave 70 to 80 handles. In a matter of 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, the Dow has been pretty lethargic. I mean, I'm not 100% sure how it's been performing the last 2 weeks when I was out, but before then, it had been a couple weeks of the Dow trailing behind as Nasdaq and S&P were continuing to make all-time highs and push daily for new highs. The Dow was not following, so the Dow has quite a bit of ways to catch up. Price that refine bearish breaker area, traded right into there and just kind of fell off. So far, 50 handles already. See if we get consequent encroachment of this wick here. Find some support in the fair value gap. We'll see. If these equal lows hold, generally they don't, but we'll see. Get rid of this. Sure did. 54.92 was the high on ES, and now it's showing 94. So yep, look like Nasdaq wants to attack those lows I was talking about on the hourly time frame. Yesterday's lows, maybe where we're going. It's fine. Asia low at 19.018. Any SMT. X trades, if you're referring to did one of the indices take out highs? And the answer is yes. Dow took out its daily high. It even took out the high from last hour. We also had ES. ES took out the high from news at 8:30. So those two took out highs. We did not take out the high on Nasdaq, and now Nasdaq is looking at it went down and swept these equal lows here. We'll see if it gets the Asia low, which came from yesterday evening. Yep, about 8 p.m. So prior to just sweeping, this would have been our New York low. So that's already been taken. The New York high is obviously the news event. So we'll go ahead and mark that up here. Macro's over. Get back up to the 5-minute. We might be getting back into sync here. Dollar looking like it wants lower values here. I know it's still in its consolidation zone, but it does look like it wants to push lower and sweep last hour's lows. We'll see if the inverse relationship follows on all the indices. You can see here, this is a cluster candle since the opening bell. So it's just been back and forth action, but about 100 handles each direction. So depending on when you got in and what you saw, you could have either you can at minimum taken one trade, but you could have taken as many as 4 or 5 and been profitable. Waiting to see if the Asia low gets taken prior to or after 10:30. Far, we've retraced a little bit more than 62%. Not quite halfway between 62 and 71, but definitely a little bit more than 62. Right down to the bullish fair value gap. Here at 10 and opening range at 10. Let's get back down to the 5-minute and we'll see where we end up at 10:30. One thing for sure is price has been volatile the past couple of days, getting a lot of range. Not for the weak at heart though, because stop loss placement had to be on point the last couple of days. Otherwise, you could barely survive with 2 candles. It's opening range here. See what the retracement looks like. All right, it's 83.5 already. I appreciate it, Ray. 19 likes. Okay. He's slim. Good morning. Good job, James. Opening range high needs to be updated. About 3 minutes, I'll slide that high up. Let's see if this breaker still holds. Right, so what James was just talking about was right around this 9:45. Let me go ahead and drop down to the 15 seconds so you can see what his entry was. So it was essentially here. All right, price came down, took out the London low. He said he took a unicorn setup, which looks like it was set up right here. We got confirmation over here at 9:52. Price dropped back down into the range, 9:54, and then made its way out, trading back up during the news event at 10 o'clock to the bearish breaker that was above us, that led off the opening bell at 9:30. So that was the entry that he took, and looked to have played out quite well, delivering somewhere in the 80 handle range. Let's get back to the 5-minute here. It's almost 10:30. So I'll go ahead and shift up this opening range high. Looks like the breaker so far has held up. It traded to the very, very extreme. Now it's retracing back lower. Okay, let's delete this line. Let's just clean up a little bit. All right, so there's our opening range from 9:30 to 10:30. Extends from on the north side 19,192 and on the south side 19,045. 150 handles there. And we're getting really close to equilibrium, probably around 115. There we are, equilibrium, trading to discount. Now let's see where price wants to go. Breaker here first delivered at 9:25. Delivered over 100 handles. Came back a second time at the news event at 10. This time delivered about 130. And now we have trading into it a third time. And now so far has already delivered 75 handles already. James, you took profit here. All right, so he took profit at 171. So he got the maximum out of that hit he could get. As you can see, it only made it up to, during his trade, it only made up to 173.75, and he was exiting at 171. He missed out on 2 handles. Oh, okay. Got it. Often than not putting my stop loss at the invalidation of the manipulation. Mm, mm. And that's what I'm talking about, James, being selective. And that's the thing, is that not every setup is ideal based on your risk threshold. So you got to be selective. I feel like you should be selective. There are others who feel like every time price moves, they want to be in the trade. I like to select the ones that are smaller in nature and the ones that fit my risk threshold. So good job, James. Seems like you're learning not only yourself, but learning how to be patient in the market. Yeah, one of the reasons why I was wondering if Asia low would be taken before 10:30 is because that would have adjusted where our opening range low was going to be. And so I was thinking that if it took the Asia low first, then the opening range low would be below that and likely would hold. If we didn't take it first, the opening range low would be the first one traded through as price wants to take out the Asia low. That's just my theory, and now I want to see if it plays out that way. Absolutely. There you go, James. Another thing I like that you did this morning was you waited for a pool of liquidity to be swept before hunting for your entry. So it's not just always looking for a breaker to form. It's looking for a breaker to form in very specific strategic locations, which will increase your strike rate. James, sound like you're on your way. Happy to hear that. Sweet. Congrats again. That's excellent. Excuse me. See if we sweep this opening range low first, and then where price goes from there. Remember, we'll be back into this bullish fair value gap, and we'll see if we get another bounce like we did the last time we touched it. Yep. Yeah, thanks for encouraging some of the other viewers, James. I think everyone needs to hear that at some point during their journey. There's always moments in the beginning when we're always, I think it's natural to be aggressive in your goal setting as to when you feel like you'll be proficient enough to call yourself a successful trader or to switch over to being a full-time trader. It generally takes longer than you think, but it is definitely possible as long as you put in the work. I've seen numerous people hang out with us for several months, and before you know it, the first thing that happens is the light bulb goes off, and they can start noticing the setups on their own. Then they learn how to manage their psychology to enter the trade and not get stopped out, and to hold and be patient. And before you know it, they're profitable traders passing combines, and then they're getting payouts. So it's definitely possible. Many people have done it. We've been doing this now for about 8 months, and I've seen several people come through and change their trading. Yep, and that's exactly what I say. It's like hanging out in here is not just me. There are several other traders here who are very proficient in what they do and willing to share their knowledge. So yeah, as long as you ask questions and put in the work, it happens. Oh, okay, Miles. About to get your second one. All right, good luck to you. Hope you get it. We range low within the crosshairs. Just swap a swing low right here. Looks like it might push a little bit higher before we get there. Oh, maybe not. Almost need another couple ticks to get there. There it is. And we got another 3 minutes before this 5 minute candle closes. So we'll see where this candle closes in a couple minutes. We have the Asia low down at 19,018. About another 30 handles. Just give me a moment. I need to blow my nose here. All right, so far we have not gotten a closure below. You got a liquidity sweep. So if we look over here and look and see if there was an entry model or anything. All right, we had liquidity swept. This candle right here took that out. Let's look just before there and see if we got anything. Let's see if maybe this holds. So got a 1 hour fair value, got right in the center at consequent encroachment. Let's target this swing high here and see if we can make it up there. There you'd be looking at about 40 handles. Okay. All right. Give me a second, Muhammad. Yep, we are in the macro. We're definitely macro. James, yeah, this is exactly why I pulled this up, just because of what you did earlier. I wanted to see if it pulls the same setup again. And I only looked for that because it did reject after the opening range low was taken. It didn't close below. Another sweep of the low. Let's see if we get a push upwards. Just wanted to stop out people who maybe got in early, or not early, but got in. Just want to make sure they can't ride to the top. ready to run away just yet. Switch back over to the 1 minute. I'm going to refill my coffee. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Boom, there you go. All right, it's the second time this morning where this type of setup has worked. So everyone, during your next back testing session, just take a look at that type of setup. Look for pools of liquidity, session highs and lows, whether it's the opening range, whether it's Asia, London, doesn't matter, lunch, any of those. You find a session high or low taken, a failure to close, drop down to a lower time frame, 1 minute, 30-second, 15-second, anything like that. Try to find your setup within that smaller time frame and target something easy. People always ask, like, what do you consider low-hanging fruit? Well, here we had equal highs here on the 30-second, and it was only about 40 handles away. So that was quick and easy target to move towards, and you don't have to go for session highs or all-time highs or any of that. Even though price is still going now, you can see that this high right here was something worth targeting, and it could have easily given you your all the points you needed for your daily target. So just practice that the next time you're back testing. Also, pay attention to the time. We're in a macro session, the last 10 minutes of the hour and the first 10 minutes of the following hour. A lot of times you'll find that time period delivering what you were looking for, not only confirming or delivering a setup, but also giving you your entry and exit. Hey, Pauletta, good morning. Oh, you got that one, Miles? Okay, good. Good job. Way to go. Mohammed. So the indicator that I use for session highs and lows is an indicator that you have to pay for. It's not free. I got it as part of um, someone's, not necessarily mentorship, but someone was selling a trading program where you go through their entire curriculum, and it came with this indicator as part of purchasing that system. So while I can show you which one I'm using, you won't be able to use it because it's a paid one. However, it's not that hard to do manually, right? Obviously, the 8:30 open, you just go to the 8:30 candle and you put a marker at what the opening price was. Same with the midnight, you want to put that at the midnight open price. This opening range, high and low, I make that on my own. So I just go to the 5-minute or 15-minute. I look at between 9:30 and 10:30. I take the swing low, call that the opening range low. I take the swing high, call that the opening range high. And that's how that works. As far as London, Asia, and the New York session, my time frames for that is the Asia session. I used to do 8 p.m. to midnight, but I've got a lot of people asking me why that time frame as opposed to starting it at 6 p.m. So it's just make it easier. Just go from 6 p.m. to midnight. Whatever your high is, mark that off. Whatever your low is, mark that off. The London session is 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Just those 3 hours. Whatever the high and the low, mark that off. Some people take the London session all the way until the opening bell, but it's completely up to you. I do 2 to 5. That's what ICT uses for his Forex. I know futures might be slightly different, but that's the same time frame I use, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And then in the New York session, I use 7 a.m. to 10. And that's how I do it. So yeah, you can find an indicator. There may be other indicators that are free that'll do it, but the one I use is not free, so it's not worth recommending. And I wouldn't advise paying for it because the person who's selling it for individually for like $100, which it's not even worth $10. Okay, we have a little seek and destroy profile here. Low to a high, lower low, right from here, lower, higher high, higher than this one, and even lower low, which is lower than that one here. So now we'll see where we land. Each of these highs and lows, you can see is price is not closing below. When it sweeps a low, it's not closing below. When it sweeps a high, it's not closing higher, giving an indication that it's going to flip and go the other direction. So another kind of tail sign when you see that, to jump down to your lower time frame and look and see if you can catch a run of 20, 30, 40, 50 points the other direction. Right? It's 30, or I think this might be actually a 15-second. Let me drop down to 15 seconds so we can see that. But it looks like the entry there was right around 0.71. And we're already at 141. So you're talking 70 handles here. Let's go to the 15 second. I think it was on the 15. Yep, sure was. So you take the 15 second, and then you easily got yourself a breaker block here that price traded right back into. And I took this candle here But you could have taken this one. In which case you would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. Actually, nope, a little more than that. 5 candles on consequent encroachment here. But if you just wanted anywhere in the blue box, you had, I don't know, probably about 10 opportunities to get in on this 15-second chart here. Need 80 handles now delivered. Oh, the lower one? Okay, James. Appreciate it. Say it was a unicorn? Guess I didn't look for that. Was it a unicorn? Well, with the 1 hour, it's definitely a unicorn, but okay, yeah, we do have right here. Not incredibly large, but right there. You have anyone in the room, if this is your first day watching our live stream here, if you can jump in the chat and introduce yourself. Just tell us how long you've been trading and what your trading setup is. What's your favorite? All right, James. It's a good feeling when you know you don't have to trade because you've already banked in all your profits. All right, about 90 handles delivered. Name is Zohag. Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Zohag. What? How long have you been trading? 1 year. Okay. All right. I believe you were referred by Robin, if I'm not mistaken, since you were born. Hmm. Well, I appreciate you joining the community and hanging out with us this week. I have noticed you're in here this week, and you've been asking some good questions to help further your learning. So don't be shy if you have something that you need to ask. Go ahead and throw it out there. I think when you're afraid to ask questions or shy, it just takes much longer for you to pick up the understanding to move to the next phase of your trading journey. So the quicker you ask questions, the quicker you understand where you need to go next, and the quicker you actually get there. So that's some of the only advice I can give. But then also, when you ask questions and you get your answer, follow that up with testing it out yourself and believing in it yourself. But good luck on your journey. I hope that we are able to help you and you're able to become profitable quite quickly here. Could you know? Jan, I think that happens to a lot of us when we discover trading. It becomes an obsession to where you start sacrificing a lot of other things in your life. I know I can definitely raise my hand and attest to that. Sacrificing social life when I discovered trading about 3 years ago. Right, so we have exhausted the time for our macro. We'll look for the next one. I believe it's the lunch hour. 8% retracement there. So now flip that around and see what we're looking at. Almost made it to discount. Yep, dealing range still open. Still open. We'll see if we can make it there before lunch. I mean, we took out the low, but we didn't close. Started marching towards the high and didn't quite make it there yet. We have both S&P and Nasdaq practically consolidating this morning. Yeah, the Dow is bullish though, pushing hard. Oops. Let's see. Looking for another breaker. Nice one, Bryce. Do I use the optimal trade entry fib and target -1? I'm just, yeah. So Pauletta, when I put the Fibonacci up, I'm just looking like when I see a nice, a decent range, and then I start seeing it pulling back. I'm just looking to see when it may turn around. So yes, I did use the optimal trade entry. So I'm just looking at that area there, but mostly I'm looking to see when it gets to discount. If I think it's going to continue higher, looking for this opening range high. I'm thinking it's just pulling back. It's going to get to discount, so drop below 50%. Now it could go to 62, 71, 70. It can go anywhere down here, but I'm looking for 50% as a minimum, and then I look to see when it wants to turn around. So in that case, yep, you want to drop down first take a look at the minute. Do we see anything that looks like a bullish breaker? We do not. We need to get a swing high taken first, which would be that confirmation. All right, even 30-second, even 15-second. We kind of got one right here. It took out this swing high. But let's see if that means anything. Right, confirmation there, drop back in, but then it swept the low over here, so invalidated. All right, so you drop out of there. So that would have been a trade that if you're taken out when you would have, that would have been a losing setup. Yeah, so in that case, you just continue to wait, looking for another one. But that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm just looking to see when price might want to turn around, not necessarily taking an entry out of the optimal trade entry. But just giving myself the highest probability of finding a winning setup. Let's see, there was another question in here. How to identify the daily bias, bullish or bearish. So Muhammad, that was something that was a big deal for me in the beginning, like always wanting to know the daily bias, figuring that would give me the best opportunity for a win. But the thing about the daily bias is to do the entire range in the direction you're looking for the last 2 hours of the day, and you spent all morning looking for price to move in that direction when it was actually going the opposite direction. So while I still look for the daily bias, my daily bias is generally based off of the weekly and daily um, time frame. If you pull up those two charts and look to see what's the current trend, my daily bias generally comes from there. If we're in a bullish trend, I'm looking for yesterday's high to be taken. If I wake up in the morning and you look at 9:30 and yesterday's high has already been taken by the opening bell in the morning, like it happened during London or during the Asia session. In a lot of cases, you want to be cautious at that point. Now, it could be a day where it just continues to run. So it's not like you can't trade it. But if it's already been taken, you gotta be careful because that might be a day where it's going to do its retracement, even though the weekly and daily trend is bullish. So just keep that in mind. But that's generally how I do the daily bias, is just looking for the long range trend and looking for the previous day to be eclipsed. But more than anything, I like to focus on the hourly time frame and just see where price currently is. What was the last pool of liquidity taken, to know whether we're in a retracement or whether we're expanding. Let's get rid of this. Oh, okay, Jan. That's good. That's excellent. Can't argue with being in green for the day. It's slam. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see here that sweeps of liquidity have been very lucrative this morning. And this low right here was swept on this candle at 940. It built right back up, all the way up, delivering 50 handles. Then this low right here swept the previous one, built all the way back up. Then this low here came down, sweeping this one, built all the way back up. Then came back down, put in a new low, sweeping out this one over here, built all the way back up. So even when price is not doing a whole lot as far as going higher and lower, if you get a range like this, where the range is, in this case, about 150 points, or even these, you got over 100-point range when you sweep a low, you can always target 30 or 40 points and it'd be a high probability trade, because you're not asking it to run 100 points. You only need 30 or 40. Get comfortable with winning trades of that size. – 50% didn't quite make it to 62. Yeah, you're right, James. I think that is what she does. Especially when you get an impulse. So even without waiting for the breaker on the 15-second that you were looking for, if she gets an impulse candle, that's, much larger than the candles that were pushing lower. If you get an impulse in the opposite direction, she'll take that as a change in state of delivery, and ride that back up. Sure, Slim. You talking about this one up north? Yep. So it's right here. It's the 710 to 720 range. 710, 715, 720. Because originally I had this one as the breaker. This was my original breaker. And can't remember exactly who it was, but they called it out and said this range was too big for them. And that's down from 200 to 155. So it's about a 45-point range on the breaker. And I just pointed them out and said, okay, well, if you want to refine it, you can either, you got two locations here you could have used. Because this entire range has this break in the middle of a bullish candle, one bullish candle, you could have refined it down to just the last two candles, which were the down close candles. And this could have been your breaker. Or on the manipulation leg up, you could have taken a breaker that was created there. And so this is the one I chose to highlight. And this was one you can see that once it closed below on this candle at 8:45, traded back in for about an hour to 9:25 and then dropped out at the opening bell. Now you could have used this one as well, but this one never returned back. Right, so this one was confirmed at the 8:30 news, dropped below, closed, traded back in, and that was the only time. So this one never got reused a second time. But this one turned out to be the one, which was about in the middle point of this larger breaker that I first wanted to use. And this larger breaker is probably a continuous down close candles on maybe like the 15-minute. So whenever you see like a break in it somewhere, if you go up in time frame, you'll see a more clean breaker. So let's look at the 15-minute and see. All right, so the 15-minute would have been here. Oops. Never got traded back to. Let's try the 30-minute. All right. Yeah. 200 down to 155. Okay, so this is that same range. It's on the 30-minute, but it's just two consecutive down close candles with the wick on the up close candle here. But again, 45 handles there. So if that's too much for you, drop in time frame, find you another bearish breaker inside, and then that's your refined area. Oh, it's Ray. Okay. Jan, 700. Is that what you call a okay day? That's pretty good. I mean, I know it might not be 6 grand or wherever you were the other day, but 700 is not bad. All right, keep the questions coming. I'm sure there are more out there. Using trade copiers. I haven't used them, but I at some point soon I will start using them because it's quite tedious to be bouncing back and forth between different funding accounts. I might just start trading them all together. I don't have any that I could recommend, however, but I do hope to um, start using the trade copier in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, nah, I hear you, Jan. Want to be a bit more well-rounded, not just a trader or not just a professional. You want to also have a personal life. I hear you. Looks like we're gonna coast into lunch hour, possibly. Yep. So we had today during the last hour, actually. So during the 10 o'clock hour, we on Nasdaq swept the morning low, putting in a new daily low, whereas the other two, S&P and Dow, did not put in a new daily low. The Dow is so far from it that I can't see that happening today. But S&P is not too far away, but it did not sweep the low. So if you're looking for S&T, that's what we got there. We got a daily low swept on the Nasdaq, but not on S&P and Dow. Um, Captain, yeah, I'm not still not good enough at scalping to introduce that to you guys. I'm still working on that skill. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't win some scalps, but um, I don't win at a high enough rate for me to show you exactly what I like to do. But I will say what a lot of people I have talked to recently like to do when they scalp is to use the DTFX method. If you're familiar with the YouTuber DTFX, I think it's Dave Teaches. Mm. James, I'm probably not the best person to teach SMT. There's some others in the room that are probably better at that, so I'll let someone else answer that. But in general, right, like if you see a sweep of a low and then you see energetic move to the other direction, and then you see the other indices didn't sweep that low, then you just have a reasonable expectation that highs are going to be taken next. But again, I'm probably not the best person to explain SMT to you. Yep. Uh, Jan, if it's important enough to you, then it will be worth it in the long term. It's just success in trading. How important is that to you? If it's high up on your list, then it will be. Just stay the course, keep putting in the work, and you'll be successful before you know it. Okay, James. All right. Yeah. Report back and let us know if you learned something. I'll say, Captain. One of the ways I've been looking to try to learn how to do this is just basically when swing points get traded above or below, just whenever a swing point is traded through, um, looking for a price to retrace back to that swing point and taking an entry there. So kind of like an order block setup. So like here, when we were bullish starting down here, we had a swing high, price traded lower and then traded higher than this high, right? So then I would have been looking for price to trade back down, but it will actually need to close. So it closed higher. Let me just mark it so it's easier to see. So this high was closed above, looks like here on this candle, 1139. So then I've been looking for price to trade back to this high to take it higher. And you can see that happen over here at 1142. Traded back into it, and then you took it higher. So then you'd be looking for this high over here to be swept, which is not a huge range, right? You're talking 134. This high is 161, so it's about 25 handles. So that's kind of what I've been looking at as far as trying to scalp. But again, I haven't put in enough work to be confident enough to show someone else that and have them follow. All right, back at that bearish breaker once again. Still the opening range high is at the north end of that at 19,192. Let me get back to the 5 minute. We do have the macro coming, so I'll drop to the 1 minute in just a moment, but let's just look at it from the 5 minute perspective for a little bit longer. ALF, can I go through the optimal unicorn setup that I'm looking for here? So I'm not necessarily looking for a unicorn setup here. What I want to see is first some liquidity taken. So I'm looking for this opening range high to be taken. And I want to see on the 5 minute whether there's a closure above or whether it rejects lower. Like down here when the low was taken. Let me just get rid of this. Right. The low was swept here at 1045. But after it was swept, it retraced and closed higher. So that's a rejection of this low here. So I didn't that point, I didn't expect price to continue pushing lower. I then thought that it would start attacking and maybe get all the way back up to the highs. So when this happens and it pushes lower, but rejects and closes higher, then you want to drop down to a lower time frame and look for the unicorn setup. I don't know if you were on the feed when this happened, but I'll drop back down so we can see that was the 1045 candle on the 5-minute. So what we did is we dropped down to the 15-second. Let's go back to 1045. Right, so right here, price traded below that opening range low, took liquidity. Then we look for a unicorn setup here. And in that case, we had a push lower, push back higher, and then a lower low. So your unicorn is going to be low, high, lower low, higher high with a closure above. So this actually is there, right? Once you get that closure above, now you're looking for a retracement back into the setup, which you got right here. You could have taken that entry. Now you would have had to hold and watch it trade below you once, trade below you twice, but never invalidate the breaker. And then from there, you saw price run out. So that would be sort of the optimal. If I was looking for a setup right now, is first sweep liquidity, then drop down to a lower time frame and see if price wants to go the other way. All right, so if we get back to the 5-minute, yep, so the next is pool of liquidity here. We're in a bearish breaker, which we saw price push out of once here, second time here, third time here, every time push lower, 100 handles or more. We're back there now. So now I'm looking to see if this price want to turn around here and push lower. Before it pushes out of the breaker here, though, I want to see if it wants to take this liquidity pool up high. Right. So we're getting ready to get into the macro. And remember, I also said earlier that a good thing to check for is that if you're looking for your setup or you're looking for something that's high probability, it's good if you can find it in the macro period, which is the last 10 minutes of this hour, the first 10 minutes of the following hour. So anywhere in here, preferably up here at 19,192, I want to see if price wants to turn and push lower again, because that's what it's been doing this morning. Right, this morning it went from a low to high to a lower low, higher high to a lower low, and now potentially we're going high again. So recognizing that trend, I'm looking to see if it wants to sweep liquidity and turn around. So now that we're getting close to the macro, we're going to drop down to the 1 minute. I always like to go to the 1 minute during the macro, but 1 minute might not be enough to discover a bearish breaker within the 5-minute bearish breaker. So let me just mark this one. This is the 5-minute. So now we look and see if we can get something else. I have a couple screens here, so I'm going to look on a smaller time frame and see if I notice it. All right, so now it's taking that range. This 5-minute candle will close in another 4.5 minutes. So there's a lot of time between now and then to either close above it or close below it on the 5-minute. But I'm simultaneously checking on a different time frame, lower time frame, to see if it's going to create a bearish breaker within. I would have confirmation or some sort of confidence that price is going lower, and you look for an entry. Okay, James, appreciate it. So what the 30-second look like? Here's the 15. Here we go. See if we get a closure below. We swept liquidity here, opening range high. And we're already in a bearish breaker that has worked out several times. So we have a reasonable expectation that price might turn around here. And we're inside of the macro time period. So we have a lot of things working for us, but we do need price to trade below and close below. $30. No, I like the 15 better. All right, one more minute and we'll close out the 5-minute candle. So remember, we were wanting to see if it would close above this opening range high at 192 at the conclusion of the 5-minute candle, 11:55. And if that doesn't happen, we also want to see here on the 15-second, do we get a push below and a close below? 30 seconds left. All right, in 15 seconds, look like we're going to get a failure of that opening range high. Looks like price is going to close below. And because of that, for the remainder of this macro period, now we're just waiting for price to push lower and close. All right, so this is what the 5-minute looks like. We got a push above, closure back down here. So let's go back to the 15-second. We want it to push pretty quickly. We want to see a nice candle pushing lower. Better, looking better. That'll give us a unicorn setup. We'll get a nice little fair value gap. All right, it did close below, it looks like. Just by a hair. Tap back in. That should be your short here. Let's see. Put it at the CE. Right at consequent encroachment. 175. Let's see if we get a nice 2-to-1 or 1-to-2 trade. It's about 8-point stop. Let's target 20. All right, we have equal lows here at 159. That's only 16 handles, so that's a 1-to-2. All right, so that setup didn't work. Can't win them all, but during your next back testing session, just check that out when you get a liquidity sweep and a rejection, dropping down to a smaller time frame and looking for an entry model, or looking for your entry model on a smaller time frame. We got 1 minute before our session's over this morning, and we'll break for an hour and come back for an afternoon session. So if you have any final questions or comments, throw it in the chat now, please. Bryce, always try to do limit orders if you can. Always try to do limit orders. Because even when you have live data, you're always still going to be 1 to 2 seconds behind on what's the actual number is. So whatever you actually see on the screen, price is slightly different. It's already on whatever the next second it shows you is going to do. So just put limit orders to make sure you get an entry exactly where you want it. You mean the close of the breaker? Yep. Okay. All right. Hopefully everyone caught that. That Bryce says during his back testing, you should make sure that the breaker's close is convincingly strong. Which I'm assuming he means like several handles past where the breaker's extreme was. 69.50. Whereas this one was only 2 ticks past the breaker. It was a strong candle, but it was only 2 ticks past the breaker. I think Bryce is saying that you may want to look and wait for price to close a little bit lower before confirming the breaker. ES just concerned. 5-minute close above the open hour range. Okay. All right. Thanks, Captain. Perfect. All right. So in that case, you got ES already confirming a close. So hopefully in the next this frame here, the next 5-minute candle. So in another 2.5 minutes, you'll see a confirmation of a close above this opening range, which then should give you confirmation that down here is your low. This is your low. So in that case, if you ever see price start to retrace, then what you want to do is you want to go and measure up and see where your leg is and see where you get to discount. If you're looking for price to resume higher, you have a pretty good amount of confidence that this is your low once you get this confirmation and close above the opening range high. And so then if you do get a retracement, again, you're looking at the range and you want to see it trade back down to discount, and then you're looking for a continuation. All right. I don't see any more questions or comments. All right, everyone. I'll see you in an hour. Take care.